Welcome back to Human to Human. I have finally resurrected from the longest cold I think I've ever been fighting. We're almost fully past it. Nevertheless, we are here. Hello. If we have not met before, my name is Jessica Jane, but you can call me Jess, and I'm the host of this podcast called Human to Human. And yeah, I was fighting a cold for 3 weeks. At the 3.5 week mark, it hit me. I lost my battle to this head cold, truly. I mean, February was full of it, and so many people at my work were sick. And as soon as I moved into this Airbnb with my boyfriend, I felt myself getting sick, and then I kept fighting it. And then I had 4 days where I felt good, and my mistake, hit a workout a little too hard, hit a bunch of social things, and then I got sick again. And then I was fighting it, and then I woke up one morning and I was like, oh shit. And then 2 days later, I was in the depths of hell of this cold. And I went home and I had time with my mom because I needed it. You can say what you want to say, but I need my mommy. When I'm sick, my boyfriend literally got to a point where he's like, can you go please be with your mom? I don't know, man, not to generalize, but I just don't think men conditioned through biologically the things, that didn't make sense. It's just they don't have the same type of nurturing bones in their body as women do, which makes sense. We carry the babies, we raise them, they raise them too, but women are nurturers, I feel. And I said to Josh, I was like, listen, what does your dad do when you're sick? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, same. So I need to go be with my mom. It's okay. He got me Advil cold and sinus. He got me Halls and pushed me to finally take that proper medication because I was just taking my fucking woo-woo supplements up until the point where it really hit me and took the life out of me. So we're a couple days out of that, and I still have a little bit of a lingering sore throat. Still got a little bit of a lingering runny nose, but I'm considering myself out of the woods. That might be a really ballsy thing to say, and maybe I need to rest a lot more today to push through, but I struggle with rest, and we're not going to get into that today. I will be getting into it in my therapy appointment, though I have on Thursday. But last week, I talked a lot about, I don't even know what I talked about, but I left you on a cliffhanger saying that this episode was going to be more about travel and my Atlanta trip that I went on probably 7 months ago at this point. It was last September, but I have been wanting to share about it because it inspired a lot for me. And I'm going to go on my first solo Europe trip in June because I felt really inspired by that trip. And basically how it came about was I work at a sauna cold plunge place called Othership, and they presented this opportunity where we would fly to Atlanta for a weekend to go to this festival called Runningman. And it was all kind of wellness festival focused. And the main event obviously was a run. People were running ultra marathons, which was insane because the run was a 1 mile loop. I don't even know how long these people had to run, let alone how many times they had to do the loop to run an ultra marathon. But it was so cool. I've never been to a music festival. I've never been to a festival. I've never been to a wellness festival. I honestly have barely ever traveled that much except for to an all-inclusive resort down south. And so this opportunity was insanely exciting and very eye-opening. And I felt really inspired when I left it to push myself to travel more. And I will travel for a work trip. I will travel for some productivity kind of fucking reason. But traveling just to travel is something I struggle with. And I have still planned 0 things for my trip coming up this spring. And I think it's because it's just I just don't know where to start. And one of my favorite things about this trip to Atlanta was that it was just all planned, obviously, for me. It was they just tell you where to go. They tell you where to show up. They took us where we needed to go. They put us into these glamping tents. And it was, it was a work trip. Everything was already decided and everything was paid for. It was incredible. And so, right off the bat, we get to the airport and it's the CEO of the company, me, and 3 other guides that are my coworkers. And it came out at the first meal that I was the youngest by 10 years of everyone. And that is my worst fear coming to life because I have grown up. I mean, it's on par with my life. I have grown up with everyone being quite a few years older than me. From the time I was like 8 years old, my mom accidentally put me into like the 10 to 12 musical theater class, and I was like 8 to 10, and they just like kept me in. So from a young age, I've just been around people older than me. I've had a lot of friends older than me throughout my life. And now, like where I work at Othership, I by the time you're listening to this, have just turned 25, but I work with people who I don't know who the oldest is, but there's 45, 50, maybe even older than that. And so I'm the second youngest. And I thought it was such a slay when I found out I wasn't the youngest. I was like, there's one other person who's a year younger than me, which obsessed. But that like kind of brought out my insecurities like right off the bat for the start of this trip of like, oh my God, I'm the youngest. And that like really doesn't matter. And I try not to let that matter. And I had such an incredible time. But obviously, like I'm on a work trip too with people I don't know that well. And so I'm like, oh my God, now I'm like hyper aware of seeming like young and naive and whatever, which I totally am, though at the same time. Like I just painted that picture. I have barely traveled. I have never been to a festival of any kind. And the entire weekend, I was just wowed. Not only wowed with like how fun it was and all these fun different wellness things you could do, and just like getting to guide in like the world's largest sauna. I'll get into all that. But I was really, really impressed with how I could have so much fun and sleep so well and feel so good and be so active, and my body could handle it. Because I think what I have believed since I was young was that like I am really, really picky with the food I eat, which I'm not anymore. And I'm like really sensitive, or I get really tired really easily. And this whole trip proved all of those beliefs wrong. And it opened my eyes so much that I was like, why did I not think I could handle this? Why did I not think I would have fun? Like, I was pretty nervous going into it, but I was more excited than anything. But I just think the messaging that I may have received from family or friends, or just like the way I was, like the people closest to me, I think always saw maybe the worst of me, maybe the version of me where I would, perform a bunch of shows, but then I would go to my room and just crash and I need to be alone for hours. Or they saw the version of me that was always like, I felt comfortable enough with my family to be like, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. And so they always kind of saw me as like this picky person, I think. But I don't think any of them would say they didn't think, actually, no, that's not true. My brother 100% has been like, you couldn't handle a trip to Southeast Asia. You don't like the city chaos of Toronto. You could not handle Vietnam. Like my brother has absolutely told me like, you could not handle this. Him and I went on a siblings trip when we were like maybe 17 and 19. And like I made him hold the heavy backpack on all the hikes, like all these things that he was just like, you don't have as much energy as me, like blah, 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 blah. And so I'm going into this trip with all of these like subconscious beliefs that I didn't even know I had. And also, let's preface, this is a running event. And thank God, just a couple years before I got into running, which also, okay, I think this makes a lot of sense and it's like making me even process it. When I started my running journey, I don't know what year it was, maybe 2022. Yeah, sure, let's go with that. I didn't even tell my family because I was like, if I tell my family I'm running, they're going to think I'm like, LOL, this girl's going to stop after a kilometer. Like, and it makes sense why they think this. I don't judge them. I don't hate them for it. It makes sense. When I was little, I could not care less to exercise, move my body, play a sport, go outside. I would go to the basement and I would watch Hannah Montana for 5 hours and be content. Same goes for when I would go to the cottage. I would sit inside, watch the Lizzie McGuire movie and do a Camp Rock puzzle till the sun goes down. And my parents would need to come inside and go, Jessica, go outside. And once I'd get outside, I'd be like, oh yeah, I guess this is making me feel really good. But I, as a child, was the queen of the rot on the couch, which is so funny because as an adult, I'm really struggling to rest. And I've been fighting a cold for like almost a month now. I struggle to rest. I do. I struggle to rot on the couch. And yet when I think about my younger self, that's all this bitch wanted to do. All she wanted to do was chill, rot, not go to school, and just watch Family Channel. And so I remember when I first started running, I booked a 10-kilometer race before I'd even run like 5 kilometers. because I was like, I need it to be in the calendar. I paid money for this in order to force myself to run. And I did not tell anyone. I think I only told Josh, which is crazy to think that him and I were dating back then. Like, that feels like such a long time ago and like such a different version of me. But I literally cried when I ran my first 5 kilometer run. And then when I first started running, I had a pact with myself that I just like wouldn't stop. I'm like, even if you need to run as slow as humanly possible, just don't stop. Don't walk because you're going to lose momentum. And I need to get back into this. I have had the itch a couple days ago to book a half marathon and just figure it out from there. And I remember even when I told my family I booked a 10 kilometer run, they were like, are you serious? And like, I don't come from a very physically active family. Like, don't get me wrong. My dad walks on the treadmill and lifts some dumbbells, but he does not do sports. My mom has played softball here and there throughout her life. Actually, my mom was very active as a kid. She was a gymnast. She was a dancer. She played softball. And now as an adult, like my whole life, actually, like growing up, I remember my mom doing like Beachbody, P90X, Tony Horton, like workout videos. And I always was like, God, I don't want to do that. I even remember when I first did a workout video with my mom, she's like, engage your core. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? She's like, push your lower back into the ground. I'm like, what does that mean? I had zero body awareness. Like, it took me a long time before I knew what that meant. I'm still learning because like I have this bad knot in my back and it's because I'm not engaging all the muscles in my back. So I'm still strengthening my mind to muscle connection. But so understandably, I was like the lazy kid in my family. So everyone was like, there's no way this girl's running a 10K, whatever, craziness. So there's just all of these like voices in the back of my head. So going into this trip, it was just like, I have no idea what this is going to be like. My brother's traveled 8 months in Southeast Asia. He's like, everyone's like, Jessica, never do that. And I'm not doing that. But I go on this trip and it was just such a beautiful way to learn who I am and what I'm capable of and what I can do. And so bless up, I've like had 2 10 kilometer races under my belt going into this trip. I've been off my running journey though for a while, and we're all sitting at this meal. We find out I'm the youngest, but then we're all talking about like the runs and whatever. And 4 out of 5 of us are kind of ish runners in the group. So one of them is like confidently like, I'm not running anything. I'll take your picture, which I'm like, slay, love this for you, girl. And then 2 of the guys like have done marathons. They're like, oh, I'll just probably rip a half marathon, like no training, all good. Cause like also, and I want to be like this, like when you keep a certain level of like physique, like you can just rip a half marathon without training. And like, or like even Rachel Hollis, she's like, yeah, I keep my body at a certain physical level that like I could do that and I won't hurt myself. And then the CEO of Othership did a half marathon. I think he kind of did hurt himself, but he did great, honestly. He did phenomenal. And the track was awful. I did not do a half marathon. I was like, I've done a 10K before. I haven't ran in a while. I might do a 10K. We'll see. Because also we're there to work. So you're trying to balance your energy. And so wonderful enough, we get there and the weekend progressively got better because when we showed up on like the Thursday night, no one was there. There was no bathrooms open. There was no water. None of us had water. We had to go like rummage around and find like sparkling water cans that we drank in the morning when we woke up. Like nothing was running. There was no breakfast. It was, and we've been on a plane traveling and I love to shower. And so I'm like, well, guess we're just going to bed like this. So that was interesting, off to an interesting start, but obviously you just deal with it. You're just like, well, take it and run, I guess. And so as we get into the weekend, so Friday's the first day, and I am the first person to lead a class. So backstory, this is the world's largest sauna. It can fit 300 people, and Othership is a big bathhouse sauna cold plunge experience place both in Toronto and New York. And so we're like, oh, we want to be involved with this. Let's freaking go. And so they called me the queen of up classes. So like high energy, like fun energy classes. So I taught the first class of the weekend on like 4 o'clock on the Friday when everybody's showing up. LOL, nerve-wracking. And we're so used to like our tech, our lights, like our stadium seating. There's no stadium seating. It was like a stand-up patio vibe with a few chairs outdoors with like a a see-through ceiling and then wood stoves throughout to like get it hot. It was hotter than any sauna I've ever been in, way hotter than how hot we keep it, because it's not like you just have a temperature you turn up and down. You're constantly putting wood in the stoves. And then the tech was really weird and muffled, and obviously like there's no fun lights to change. It's just bright. And we teach classes in like dim lighting. It was bright. I was like, fucking YOLO, we just got to do it. And I'm so relieved that my class was on the kickoff night basically of the weekend, because the big run day is Saturday. And so Friday night, like everyone, no, it wasn't even Friday night, it was 4:00, but everyone's showing up, everyone's amped, the energy's high. So we like tried to get everyone in there. I had all of my coworkers supporting me. I teach this class. I literally felt like I was going to pass out when I walked out of there, but it was great. It was great. We like danced around. We did a little stretching. We did some yells, some call outs, some callbacks. Like we just got the energy ready. But when I exited, I literally like held my knees, bent over, and was like, oh my God, it was that hot and the adrenaline's insane. And my coworker's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm like, but my whole body was just buzzing like an insane amount. Later, when I talked to Robbie, who's the CEO of Othership, he's awesome. He was like, I don't know how you did that. He's like, I would have folded just because of like how intimate it was. There wasn't 300 people in there, but you had to try and bring them all into a circle and get everyone close. So it felt like magical. And he was like, you were shaking your butt. I'm like, I blacked out. I don't even know what I did. So that was over. It took me like, and like my coworkers were like, eat, you need to go eat. I'm like, I can't eat for like an hour. Like, let me come down from this. So I had to like come down, and it was in Atlanta in September. The nights were cold, but the days were hot. And so it was just an insane experience. I was so proud of myself. I was riding such a high once I like came down from that. I got food. I also am obsessed. Like it wasn't alcohol free, but alcohol was such a little tiny part of this event. But there were cannabis drinks. Let's fucking go. So that night, like we're all just kind of like getting into the vibe of the weekend. I like have a few drinks, not a few. I probably had one, but I was feeling it when I was going to bed that night. And I was just like so happy and just like so proud of myself. And I was so relieved. The hardest part of my weekend was over. Everyone else had to guide classes on Saturday and on Sunday. So it's like I was like the test dummy, and then my hard work was done. I could vibe. So I woke up that next morning on Saturday and I was like, yep, okay, fuck it. We're going to rip a 10K. Why would I not rip a 10K when I'm here? When am I going to experience this again? I'm in Atlanta. I'm around a bunch of crazy runners. It's such a crazy cool wellness environment. There's like so many ways to recover. There's Theraguns. There's those boots that you put on your legs and then they squeeze you, the compression boots. So amazing ways to recover. So I like wake up, I'm like, I'm obviously going to do a 10K. Let's go. The problem was often in the weekend, there's so much happening. There's like so much going on. Like I kept losing the people that I worked with, and like I wanted to start the run with them, couldn't find them. So then I also didn't warm up properly. We begin the run. It's a vibe. It's so great. But then after a while, you're doing the same 1 mile loop, and the ground was so unsteady that at one point, like my left foot like kind of went whoa into a pothole, and then my left knee didn't feel good. I still ran the 10K. Kind of a little bit of regrets, probably. Yes, I still have issues, and I'm trying to figure it out. Like pain. Well, my second 10K I ever ran, I pulled a muscle really bad in my left foot, and so then of course I'm doing this run in Atlanta, however many months later, and then I hurt my foot/knee like in that little pothole. So I have a whole situation to figure out with my left leg. I still feel it, and so I woke up the next morning, and I had pulled a muscle. It felt like from my foot all the way along the side of my calf, along my knee, up my thigh to my hip. And I'm sure there's a word for that muscle, okay? But I don't know it. I don't have it. One day I will learn it. ChatGPT is becoming my bestie with learning things. So it's all good. Like I actually ended up feeling fine a couple days later, but I didn't properly warm up. I don't think I properly cooled down. It was so much adrenaline on the weekend. it makes sense, but it felt so good to like get a good 10K in. Everyone else I was with, except for the one person who didn't run, they did half marathons. Absolute slay for them. And I got to see each of them on the track once, which felt really special. Like I loved it. I just felt like I wanted to feel connected to the people I came with. So that was awesome. And overall, I left this weekend. It was great, perfect. Like everyone did their classes on Saturday, then Sunday, and we all supported each other, and the food was delicious that weekend, and just overall phenomenal vibes. Like now I kind of understand what a festival would be like. Like you start to meet people throughout the experience, and then you get to see each other again and again, and you start to vibe, and it's like such a like little tiny community that you live in for like this short period of time, and you walk away just being like, that was insane. I just lived in a whole different world. And now I'm like, okay, this makes sense why people do music festivals. So I don't have a music festival booked, but I am going to see Harry Styles in June in London at Wembley Stadium, which feels insane. And I think this is so good to just like talk about this and record this episode because it's like getting me excited to do this. Because I am just so lost on like how to book things and like listen, this is how Josh and I have kind of started to explain things. I am such a day-to-day planner. It's not even funny. He is such a trip planner. He does not want to plan what he's doing next Thursday. Of course, he'll love to plan a trip. I hate planning a trip. And he's not coming to London. He's getting ACL surgery in a couple weeks. That's crazy to say, a couple weeks. Scared for all of us. So I'm going to do this by myself. I think it'll be really important for my growth and my self-development. And we're going to see how it goes. But this is why we do it, because we learn about ourselves. We understand what we're capable of. And to reflect even more on that weekend I spent at Running Man in Atlanta, I was able to see how much I've changed as a person because I couldn't handle things like this before that. I was a really picky eater. I was really like scared to not have my comfort people or my comfort things near me and whatever. And I think that's why I've been so hesitant to travel. I'm a homebody. I love my bed. I love my comfort experiences. Being in this Airbnb, I think it's part of me being sick too. Like I don't have my usual routine and my usual comfort things. It's challenging. But ever since I started working at Othership a year and a bit ago, it has pushed me physically, emotionally to hold space, to challenge my body, to know how to fuel myself better. It's actually crazy now that I think about the way I used to eat food. I just didn't know how to properly fuel myself. So my food was breaking down properly and I was getting all the nutrients and I was eating 3 proper meals a day and all those things. I ran 2 10Ks like without the knowledge I have now. So I'm like, bitch, you could run it. You could run a half marathon. We'll see. I'll explain why I actually feel pushed to do that in a second. But I was able to recognize how much I've grown as a person over the last year and how grateful I am that this job has pushed me to grow like that. When you're working in a sauna, it puts you under such an insane form of just like fatigue and pressure, and you're around people all the time. Like it's gonna expand your window of tolerance. And I'm experiencing that now again that I'm teaching reformer Pilates, because not only am I working at Othership now, but I'm also teaching reformer, and I talk so much in 1 hour teaching class, and then you go do that again a second time because you usually teach 2 classes in a row, but you can teach up to 5 classes in a row, which is crazy. And so I feel myself like having a bit more of a sore throat and getting more sick over the past few months because it's like, yeah, I'm pushing my body in a way that I haven't before, but my body will start to adjust. It will be able to adapt as long as I'm taking care of myself and I know I need more rest and I'm fueling myself in different ways with my food. And so yeah, all of this to say is that like we are literally capable of so much more than we think we are. We just need to challenge ourselves, to push ourselves out of our comfort zone. And so this was really helping me in the pits of feeling sick is I just love the universe delivering things you need when you need them. Because I'm trying to write or edit my novel and do my second draft, and it's challenging. And I was at Othership taking a class actually, and I was in the change room, which I never really am because I change in the back. And because I took the class, I was in the change room And this was funny. So I'm reading Heated Rivalry. I just finished because I watched Heated Rivalry. I talked about it in my last episode. Now I'm reading the book because I'm like, I need to read the magic of what this story is so I can write like it. And this woman sees my novel right there in the Heated Rivalry book. And she's like, oh my God, did you see the show? I'm like, girl, of course. That's what pushed me to read the book. And I said to her, I'm like, I don't know why. I don't always say this to people, but I was like, I'm writing a book. And so I really wanted to read about how they wrote this story because I think it's amazing. And she was like, oh my God, do you have masterclass? And I was like, no. And she's like, girl, you need masterclass. And I was like, oh, okay, tell me more. Like I've seen ads, I've heard of it. And she's like, my son and I just finished watching Margaret Atwood's masterclass, and she named a few other authors. And she's like, it's like getting to watch all the greats, all your heroes talk about how they wrote their book, why they wrote their book. She's like, it inspired my son to like literally write me a book. And I was like, wow. And she's like, yeah. And she's like, you can always like tell them you want your money back after a month, like do a trial thing, but we're literally keeping it because it's so good. And I was like, convinced. So I got masterclass. And while I was like pretty sick, I was watching, I need to find out her name actually. I want to tell you her name to give her a shout out. Okay, so she is the Peloton head instructor, Robin Arzon. I may have pronounced her last name wrong. But she does a masterclass all about mental strength. And I literally didn't even know who she was. I just like felt called to watch her masterclass. And she talks about how she's an athlete and she's run ultra marathons. And it kind of just got in my head of like, I can say I'm an athlete. And I want to get to a point where I can say that. And that's why I've been so annoyed being sick, is because my boyfriend and I have felt like really inspired to be like working out more and like pushing ourselves. And yeah, so I was watching her masterclass and I just was so inspired. And I think it is so valuable to like watch and read content like this. And it feels different than just like finding a podcast because it's like so curated and like all their knowledge. And so now I'm watching Margaret Atwood's and I'm like, God, this is just so validating and it's so good. It's so good. And I just think in order to achieve awesome things and to do big things, which we are all fully capable of, we need to be inspired. And the reason I started running is because I watched and listened to Rachel Hollis talk about it and how she got into it. And it's like, we all can have this turning point of like, I can do this, fucking I'm just going to do it. And just like listen to that call. So yeah, hope this was inspiring. That's all I have to say today. I'm excited though to find a balance because there's definitely an important balance to find between pushing yourself and working hard and properly recovering and properly resting. So I'm going to go try and find a little bit of rest time in my day today and talk about it in therapy on Thursday because I'm so excited. I haven't been to this therapist in so long. This is the therapist I used to see in person when I lived in Toronto. And then it was just too much to commute from Etobicoke because of just like where the location is. And now in the Airbnb that I'm only in for one more week, she's close to me. So excited for that. Excited to keep working on myself, investing in myself. Oh God, that sounds so cringe. But if you enjoyed this, I really would love if you let me know or just send it to someone you love because that is the best way for these things to grow and continue to spread the good vibes. All right. I try and post every Monday, so subscribe so you don't miss a new episode and join my email list because I am sending out a newsletter once a week just with little life updates that you might not get here or on Insta. Okay, bye.